Recently, This Is America and the World traveled to the Republic of Panama. It's a small country in Central America that geographically, as a landmass, links North and South America, and its famous Panama Canal links East and West, the Pacific and the Atlantic Oceans. It was our first trip to the region, and the experience was absolutely terrific. It's a country of friendly people and warm weather, and a country of contrasts. A capital city of modern skyscrapers, and just a couple of hours away, stunning rainforests, home to indigenous people who maintain not only the country's native roots, but also protect its environment. Panama is now center stage as it hosts the leadership of 35 countries at the 2015 Summit of the Americas. On this program, we'll meet President Juan Varela, still in the first year of his presidency. We'll talk about his vision for Panama, the challenges the country faces, and Panama's hosting of the upcoming Summit of the Americas. I'll also sit down with U.S. Ambassador Jonathan Farrar to learn about the historic and close relationship between Panama and the United States, and Panama's importance on the world stage. This is America, and the world visits Panama. This is America, and the World is brought to you by the National Education Association, the U.S.-China Education Trust, and F.Y. Chang Foundation, guided by Ambassador Julia Chang Block, President. The League of Arab States, representing 350 million people in 22 member countries. Japan, history, hospitality, and advanced technology. Sharing tomorrow. The Petroleum Group, expertise with integrity in the fields of oil and gas, exploration and production, energy, and infrastructure. The Panama Tourism Authority. The Rotondaro Family Trust. The Embassy Series, uniting people through musical diplomacy, presenting international artists in diplomatic settings. And Ventana Productions, television facilities, editing, and distribution services. It's not often that the busy and important president of any country will spend time to say hello and chat before an interview, personally make sure that the crew has something to eat, and show us around his office. At the presidency, I had a personal conversation with Panama's President Juan Varela. Mr. President, thank you for your hospitality.
Thank you, Dennis. Welcome to Panama.
What is your vision for Panama?
That this country is moving forward, that this country is going to play an incredible role in the Americas. We have a strong democracy, people that love peace, dialogue, people of faith. So I see Panamanians playing a very important role in the region and in the world for the future.
Our program all over the United States, all over the world. What are 3 things that people should know about Panama?
Our country, our people, and our canal. Our country is a beautiful country, great landscape surrounded by 2 oceans, the Pacific and the Atlantic. Our people is people that love peace, people of faith, good people, and our canal is also something that we have worked together with the U.S. government and the U.S. people for the past 100 years, and it's something that we feel very proud of.
Not a long history, huh?
111 years.
It's a success story, isn't it?
For sure, because we're in the middle of the Americas, and the Panamanian people, different governments, have understood our role, the role that we must play because of our geographic position, to be a country that unites, a country of transit, a country that unites different civilizations. So we have played an important role in all the region.
So in the region and in the world, huh?
For sure.
Talk a little bit about the people of Panama. Our experience very quickly is warm and friendly and very welcoming, good spirit, huh?
It's a very open mind, open society. Since we are a city surrounded by one port on both sides, on the Atlantic and the Pacific, we really receive visitors with an open arms, and we really receive tourists and anybody that comes to Panama, any foreigner that comes to Panama, will feel as Panamanian the next day. We
What's-
make them feel like that.
What's the population here?
3.8 million.
And what's the makeup of the population?
A lot of immigrants from Europe, from Asia, from the Americas, many immigrants. Because of our service economy, our country depends a lot on being a friendly country to all the other nations. There are just two places where all the flags of the world pass by: the UN building in New York and the Panama Canal.
People here seem to be very proud of the country, huh?
Yes.
What's that all about?
It's a small country but a big heart, so we play a very important role, not just in Panama, but in the Americas and everywhere else.
What is say the quality of life here? The quality of life
You can
for
ask-
all the citizens.
You can ask people that retire in Panama, Americans
Yeah,
that have decided to retire in Panama, and they're happy. They come to Panama, they have good access to healthcare, to education for their kids, and also our people receive them with the open arms.
What drives the economy here? Is it the canal?
It's a service economy.
Service. What
Service
does that
economy,
mean? What does
service-based
that
economy. The financial center, the canal, the ports, the airports, is all the service that we provide. A strong logistics system, focusing mainly in Panama and the Colon City. So it's a service-based economy.
I was thinking about the canal and how important that is. The Spanish had an idea, the French tried, the Americans did it, huh?
Yes.
What is the
The Americans with the help of the Panamanians.
Oh, yes, well done. Thank you very much for the correction, or the addition, I would say. The people who, the culture of the country is part Spanish influence and part U.S. influence, huh? How is that played out in the idea of current day music, art, food, theater?
We have a very strong democratic system now. Our democracy is just a very young democracy, just 25 years old. But the values of our people are based on faith, good values, family, very strong values. So all that blends into a country of people that make other citizens feel like they're in home when they visit our country. So it's a kind of, we inherit something from the Americans, from Europe, but also from people that live in this country for many years that has worked very hard to make what Panama is today.
And also there's a large indigenous population here.
That's what I say, no? Yeah. Their culture is it's a beautiful culture.
We're gonna get
their values, they protect the land. They really protect the land. For indigenous people, the land is like their mother, and so that's what they protected. When you fly over Panama and you are flying over some areas where the indigenous people live, you can see how they protect the rainforest, how they protect the rivers, and that's very important. Very important, that's part of our values too.
Today, new Minister of the Environment.
Environment, for sure.
Did the environment here need protecting? What do you have in mind?
It's very important. The lakes that support the functioning of the Panama Canal also provide water for almost 60% of the Panamanian citizens. So for us, protecting those lakes and protecting the rainforest is very important. Those are assets that belong to the future generations, and we have to protect them.
As the president, what are your challenges here?
Fighting against organized crime is important. We're in the middle of the countries that produce drugs and the countries that buy those drugs. So we have to fight against organized crime and fight against inequality, making sure that all the wealth of our country gets to our people, providing basic services like water, healthcare, education, basic sanitation, housing, good transportation systems. So making sure that all the richness and the wealth of our country, we can convert that into first world public services to our people.
3.8 million, what percentage of the population is poor?
I would say between 10 and 15%.
Uh,
And we're taking care of that.
How so?
We are supporting the education system in those areas because some people migrate to the cities because they're trying to educate their kids. So we have to build better schools and more schools in those areas where poor people live. And we also have to support them to make sure that the kids go to school, to support the elderly that has no access to a pension. So that kind of support we're giving them.
Enough for people to buy the basics, the fruits, the vegetables, the milk?
We are building 50,000 new homes for them. We are supporting more than 500,000 students with an economic support so they go to school and finish high school. We are supporting the elderly that doesn't have any access to Social Security. We are supporting the citizens with health care. So we are just investing all the money that is required to give them access to all the services that our country must give them.
As president, do you get frustrated that the process is slow?
Bureaucracy, you have to defeat the system. You cannot allow the system to defeat you. So you have to keep fighting. It takes longer than in the private life.
Do you get frustrated? Do you get a little anxious and say to the ministers, we've got to get this moving?
I put more pressure. I don't get frustrated.
Good for you.
To get things done.
When we were coming here, a number of people asked the president about Nicaragua and their plans for a canal. Does that competition, is it a threat? How do you see it?
Our best answer to that threat is to keep our canal modern and keep investing in our canal, like expanding the lakes that support the canal, of retain water to make our canal function efficiently. But they have the right to dream about it. They have the right to try to build it. It's their right to do it, but we don't see that as very economically feasible because it costs like $60 billion and the Panama Canal is very competitive. But they have the right to try.
I was surprised to read and pleased to read that the canal here in Panama is so ethical, so transparent, and wins all kinds of awards for being a kind of a moral beacon.
The Panama Canal Authority is protected by our Constitution. It was an amendment made to our Constitution so we can protect the Panama Canal Authority from the internal politics and all those different situations. So it has a board and a very professional staff that runs the Panama Canal Authority.
Let's talk about the relationship between Panama and the United States. How important, how positive is it right now?
It's a very stable relationship. During our 111 years of history with the United States, it has its high points, its low points, but we've been able always to come together and look for the best for both countries.
I was saying...
We have a very strong and very good relationship. A lot of cooperation in security, in different human situations, and a lot of support from the U.S. government.
You mentioned people from the States retire here?
Yes.
And Europe? So it's retirement.
On the countryside, many people living in the countryside, on the Pacific also, the nice beaches on the Pacific, and they're living there.
I also heard that there's a huge Peace Corps presence here.
Yes, very strong. Young kids from the U.S. All over the nation, teaching our kids to learn how to use computers and second language is very important. It's a beautiful program, the Peace Corps.
I want to head toward the finish line, but I want to talk about the upcoming Summit of the Americas. This is huge, and it's your baby, huh? It is.
It's a great event. Panama is going to play a very important role in that summit of uniting the Americas. When we are elected president, this position has many challenges, many situations that we have to face, problems that we have to solve. So we don't have to create new problems.
So what would be at the top of the agenda?
The top will be trying to focus the public investment of all the governments to be able to prepare our governments to solve the problems that affect the people. It's like a long-term planning on infrastructure. It's prosperity with equity, equality, and also it's a political dialogue. It's a huge opportunity for the U.S. and Cuba to come together. The first time both presidents are going to meet in the past 50 years. They are working very hard to reestablish diplomatic relationships. We hope also that the situation with Venezuela to lower the tension, and also to find things that unite us, and that the different issues that can unite us and help us work together for our people. So integration, cooperation, that's very important for us.
But high up on the list is this drug trafficking business, human trafficking
President
business?
Obama is going to have a separate meeting with all the leaders from Colombia to Mexico and Central America, where I'm sure the drug trafficking is going to be an issue. The U.S. government was very successful establishing an interagency effort in Florida in the late 80s to stop drug trafficking coming into Florida. But then the problem moved to Central America. So the U.S. is just one government putting together all the agencies to work against organized crime. In our case, there are 8 governments that must put all the agencies together to fight against organized crime.
What's your personal and professional opinion about legalizing the drugs to take the profit out of the drug trade?
I don't think it's a good idea.
Not a good idea.
They will invent something else.
They will invent something else.
For sure, because at the end it's the fight between formal government and informal government. People that are making money, drug trafficking, illegal immigration, and other illegal business, they're just trying to put together an informal government that fights against formal government. They are the outlaws.
We look at the newspapers or we see on television, murder rates are so high, the violence is so high. How do we even crack that, huh?
In our case, it's coming down. Murder rate in Panama is 20% down in 2015 compared to 2014. So it's down to close to 12 murders per 100,000 citizens, which is one of the lowest in the region. So we're very proud to start showing good numbers on that issue. And I feel that the best answer is just to share information, to work closely with all the different governments working closely, fighting against organized crime.
All right.
This is a very safe country.
This is a safe country.
And almost 70% of the murders in our country and in the region are related to drug trafficking.
Yes, yes. But
so it's very sad. It's young kids killing each other because trying to control territory and trying to control the flow of drugs.
So if you were the czar, how would you attack it? What will you put on the table as to maybe some way we can dent this thing?
Two strategies.
Please.
It's like fighting a pyramid. The base, take it away from the drug dealers. Prevention. Going to neighborhoods where you have kids at risk and making sure that they go back to school, that they get involved in different programs like sports, culture, and then the top of the pyramid, which are the leaders of these drug gangs, then just firm hand, fighting tough against them and just send them to jail. So it will be a two-way approach. It can be just one way.
You'll be the host?
It's like when a country invades another country, you need to win the heart of the people to make that stable in the middle and long term. To be able to fight against organized crime, you need to go to the poor neighborhoods and give them an opportunity, give them an alternative, show them that you care for them, that being loyal to the state is the best choice, is the only choice.
Is the leadership of the various countries, 35 countries in this area, are they capable of expressing that concern and that care of the people?
If they focus more on the problems that affect their people than on fighting each other, for sure they will be capable of doing that. If we focus all the resources of our countries, our time, our capacities to fight against the problems that affect our people, we will be able to solve their problems. If we use that resources to fight each other, it doesn't make any sense.
You'll be standing here, you'll have President Obama on one side, you'll have President Castro on the other side. What do you feel?
That's Panama, a country that unites people.
U.S. Ambassador to Panama, Jonathan Farrar, has served our country in many capacities in more than a half-dozen Latin American countries. He's heavily committed to Panama and is deeply devoted to its people. He welcomed us at the ambassador's residence where we discussed U.S.-Panama relations and the upcoming Summit of the Americas. Panama, why is it important?
Panama is a crossroads of the world, and perhaps of the hemisphere as well. Everything meets, North and South America meet here, the canal is here. 2/3 of the trade through the canal is going either to the U.S. or from the U.S.
The relationship between the United States and Panama, a good relationship?
Fantastic. I mean, the histories of our two countries have been intertwined since the very beginning, since the very founding of Panama.
Would you say it was kind of a good news, bad news, good news story?
I'd say we're definitely in a good news period at this point in history. Very much so.
So the pillars of the relationship between the two countries, primarily trade or more than that?
I'd say trade and investment and a shared commitment to democracy. I mean, this country is a democracy. Last year we had the 5th consecutive election here. Panamanians love to come out and vote. Last election, 78% turnout.
Puts us to shame.
If we could do the same, that would be wonderful for the United States.
Summit of the Americas,
yes.
Which brings us here into your home and our visit. What is the summit all about? Who comes? What's the agenda?
Well, the Summit of the Americas goes back to the 1990s, and it was founded on the principles of democracy for the region, free markets that benefit the people of the hemisphere. That was the basis upon which it was founded. And Panama and everyone else are looking forward to welcoming all 35 countries of the hemisphere here.
What's at the top of the agenda? Will President Obama be here?
The president has confirmed that he is coming, yes.
Wonderful, how exciting.
Looking forward to greeting him.
Yeah, but a lot of work for the embassy here, huh?
A lot of work for our staff and a lot of work for Panama to get prepared. I think they want to show off Panama City to the world.
This one is going to be kind of unique, is it not, because of the new relationship or the growing relationship or the open door now between the United States and Cuba. This will be the first time, I would gather, that Cuba and the United States are going to be sitting around the same table together.
Yeah, this is the first time that Cuba will have participated in the Summit of the Americas.
So is that exciting, awkward? Will President Castro come as well?
I believe he has confirmed, yes.
So we got President Obama and President Castro. That's going to be quite a photo op, isn't it?
I think, but I think people need to keep in mind that the summit is 35 countries around a table. It's not a bilateral meeting between the U.S. and Cuba. It's a summit of all 35 countries in the hemisphere, focused on the core values of the summit and of the United States, and I would dare to say of Panama as well, which is democracy, human rights, and open markets. Panama epitomizes that.
What would you say is at the top of the agenda? Because we hear everything from drug trafficking, violence or poverty, immigration. What would you think that the countries will be talking about that we should keep an eye on?
I think they'll be talking about the nexus between leaders and the civil societies of the countries in which they live. I think they're going to be talking about trade. They're going to be talking about education. There's an education forum that will precede the summit, where many university presidents and provosts will be coming here to talk about how to improve education, and that's an issue that's very important here in Panama. The private education system here is quite good. The public education system here needs a lot of investment to bring it up to world-class standards.
Interesting, what you ran down as things that people would be talking about are different than what I ran down as what people would be talking about. Am I missing the boat someplace, or these are big issues though, aren't they? Poverty, drug trafficking, human trafficking, immigration?
I think poverty is an issue that's maybe underlying the rest. And that's why here in Panama, the administration is very focused on public education and health and housing. Because, as I mentioned before, Panama is one of the fastest growing economies. It is the fastest in the entire hemisphere, but there's a large gap between those at the top and those at the bottom.
So when we're seeing a news item during the summit, or reading the newspaper, television, radio, what would you want us to keep in the back of our minds as little dribs and drabs come out of the Summit of the Americas?
I would look for where the leaders of the hemisphere are able to reach consensus, because as you can imagine, there's a broad range of views. So look for where they could actually reach consensus on what's important and ways to move forward.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much for the visit. As our week in Panama progressed, I was drawn more and more into the country's unique history and culture. It's a tremendously important country because of its geographic location and the canal. It all links north and south, east and west. However, in the end, it was the optimistic spirit, warm smiles, and relaxed attitude of Panama's people that made our visit there so enjoyable and successful. Welcome to Panama. For information about This Is America and the World and to watch all of our programs, visit our website thisisamerica.net and look for us on Facebook and Twitter. This is America and the World is brought to you by the National Education Association, the U.S.-China Education Trust, and F.Y. Chang Foundation, guided by Ambassador Julia Chang Block, President. The League of Arab States, representing 350 million people in 22 member countries. Japan, history, hospitality, and advanced technology. Sharing tomorrow. The Petrolin Group, expertise with integrity in the fields of oil and gas, exploration and production, energy, and infrastructure. The Panama Tourism Authority. The Rotondaro Family Trust. The Embassy Series, uniting people through musical diplomacy, presenting international artists in diplomatic settings. And Ventana Productions, television facilities, editing, and distribution services.